was the summer of 2014, and for my son's bar mitzvah present, just like many Jewish parents, we wanted him to bond with the Holy Land. Oh, it worked perhaps too well. My husband had stayed back at the hotel, and our friends, my son and I, had just stopped in a pharmacy.
Run to the bomb shelter, sweetie, please hurry. I didn't hear the sirens at first, but the Israelis did. They're used to hearing these things. We ran to the back of the storeroom. It was a 12-foot by 24-foot windowless bomb shelter. My heart's pounding. Boom, boom. I hear it and feel the percussion of the exploding bombs. I'm trying not to get sick. I look at my 13-year-old son and I think I'll never forgive myself if something happens to him.
That's an excerpt from a speech I gave to the Orange County Jewish Bar Association. It was the first, but not the last time we had to run to a bomb shelter. Our adventure and my transformation is also the subject of my book, Blasted from Complacency, A Journey from Terror to Transformation in Israel. There is no chapter in a parenting book on what to do when a war starts and you're on a family vacation. Think touring extraordinary and sacred sites mixed with cowering in bomb shelters. I'm still trying to get over the Jewish guilt of taking my son to war for his bar mitzvah present. The impact of being human targets helped me understand the plight of Israelis living like this, and it also made me want to work on peace. How Israel is often described on the news is not what I'd seen with my own eyes. And I felt Palestinian parents also preferred their children playing safely in their backyards. The missiles exploded just near enough to blow apart my world as I knew it, forever changing me. And you'd never recognize my life today with what it was like then. I believe I found my life's purpose. Welcome, everyone. My name is Penny, ST, and I'm the host of Peace with Penny. I'm looking forward to our second interview with a member of Combatants for Peace, an organization founded by former fighters on both sides who today work on peace nonviolently. This is a two-part series. Today is the second interview, and it's with Ahmed Helou, a Palestinian peace activist. However, he grew up burning tires and throwing rocks in protest against Israel since he was 10 years old. He became a member of the terrorist organization Hamas that is dedicated to the destruction of Israel. Ahmed has been jailed multiple times, shot, and lives today with a bullet still remaining in his body too close to his neck to operate. In part one, we interviewed Eli Avador, an Israeli who fought with the Israeli Defense Forces and today works on helping Palestinians working on peace. If you'd like to listen to Eli's interview or any previous discussion, you can go to my website at pennyst.com and look under podcasts. Now let's talk about Combatants for Peace. I'll play the trailer to their movie Disturbing the Peace, CFP's 2016 film about their work. The film, Disturbing the Peace, tells the story of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and inspires hope and the possibility for change by featuring founding members of CFP and their transformation from active participants in the cycle of violence to nonviolent activists. So here we go.
I was 4 years old when we were attacked on Yom Kippur. I remember us running to the shelter in Tel Aviv. It's very concrete for a child. They want to kill us. And I really didn't understand, why do they hate us so much?
ناصر أخوي كان أصغر مني لو كان تقريبا عمره 14 سنة. الجيش اللي حكوا أطلقوا عليه رصاصة. أنا ما بعرفش كيف في هذيك اللحظة قدرت أتحمل الموقف.
كان عندي حلم أني أكون مقاتل في صفوف الثورة الفلسطينية يعني وأكون جزء من الكفاح المسلح ضد الاحتلال. كنت مستعد أنه أموت في سبيل هاي الأفكار.
I was admitted into the most prestigious unit in the Israeli army. I was extremely proud. I knew my father was proud.
صرت أفكر كتير إيش أنا دوري في الحياة هنا؟ فاخترت إني أعمل عملية استشهادية. זה מקומם, זה פשוט מרגיש טרור. ככה מרגיש טרור בעיניי.
מישהו התקשר ואמר שיש פלסטינים שמוכנים להיפגש איתנו.
كنت كتير خايف إنه قد يكون في مصيدة يعني هون.
We find that we actually have something in common. That willingness to kill people you don't know.
عندهم قوة يا جميل مش طبيعي. بده يجي كم واحد من المقاتلين من أجل السلام رفضوا الخدمة يغيروها.
إذا أنت قريتي عن نيلسون مانديلا شخص لحاله غير دوله وكان كل الدين وغير كل النظام، وانت بتعرف انه شخص لحاله، كل شخص لحاله كيف قدر يسوي هيك؟ كيف قدر يسوي؟
אנחנו מזמינים את כוחות הביטחון לפשוט את המדים ולהצטרף אלינו.
أنا بفقدش الأمل في فكرة إن السلام إنه ما في طريق ثاني غير السلام.
So that always gets to me. Now we've seen and heard about Combatants for Peace and learned some information about Ahmed Helou. It's time to meet him. Welcome, Ahmed.
Thank you so much, Benina. Thank you to have me in your program, to meet your friends, and to give me a chance to speak. Thanks.
Such a pleasure. So let's start with some personal information to get to know you better, because your whole family history is like really the history of the Palestinians. But you were born in Jericho. How many brothers and sisters do you have?
Yeah, I'm born in Jericho, and all of us 10 brothers and sisters, 6 sisters, 4 brothers.
Wow. Your grandparents were originally from Gaza, and in the early 20th century, they moved to Beersheba for their business, which was a store where Bedouins were their customers. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, most of my family, they have the same business, and they sell things to people. I'm not sure what's called it, but my grandparents were living in Gaza, and they moved to Beersheba in the early century 20. Follow them business with the Bedouin. They buy some needs and what the Bedouin needs from Hebron and Gaza, and collect it in Beersheba and sell it to them in Beersheba. And they stay in Beersheba, where also my parents born and grow up. They born and grow up in Beersheba too.
Great. You're quite educated. You've got an MBA. What's your job?
Now I'm working in the Palestinian Parliament.
Wow.
Yeah, as a parliament assistant. I work with the member called Dr. Saber Rikat for 20 years when he passed away since for Corona. Yeah, and this 1 year ago. Yeah, I moved to the center of parliament in Ramallah.
Wow. I wanted to talk, take the opportunity to talk a little bit about what some difficulties might be living as a Palestinian in the West Bank in Jericho. Can you talk about that, the different obstacles you face, for instance, like with water? In the United States, we're used to just turning on the tap. What do you have to do for water?
Before in Jericho, we independent for like natural springs, and around Jericho there is 5 natural water springs. 4 of them controlled by Israel occupied, taken to the settlements, and 1 just for Jericho people. And this one, because it is in Jericho, inside Jericho, and around 35,000 people drink from it, and also our agriculture from this spring. The life in Jericho, it's not easy, it's not normal. A lot, it's for many people, maybe they know Jericho and they don't know Jericho as well. The Jericho is the oldest city in the world, and it is lowest city also. So it's very hot in summer and warm in winter. So in summer, I got water 6 hours, and it's not in a day, and not as strong. So we have a tank, gallons, outside home. We fill it water, and we need to also pump to take the water to the roof. So it's not easy. The water, it's expensive. The electric also, it's expensive too. And we don't have the strong electric. So most of our machines not work in the same times, like in home, in home too. This is the life. It's also the life in Jericho. It's easy because Jericho, it's not a modern city. It's a farmer city with all the suffering from water, but it's also a farmer. It's agriculture city. Most of people in Jericho working in the settlements because there is no enough work here, and they wanna work to live. Yeah. So.
What about having to get permits to permission to go to, for instance, to Gaza? What's that like?
To go to Gaza, wow, it's something. It's like a dream. It's like impossible mission. That's like it. Yeah, it's not easy to get to take a permit to go to Gaza.
I should say that. Sorry, I should say how many family members are living in Gaza still today that you'd like to go see?
Actually, my family, it's I think it's the 4th or the biggest, the 5th biggest family in Gaza, and
Wow.
I have a huge family in Gaza. But also from the first little, I have 2 sisters there, and my sisters became grandmothers. I have 2 aunts too, and also my aunts became grandmothers. My mother-in-law, father-in-law, they live in Gaza now. So I have family. I got the permit like 1 month ago, before the 11 wars in Gaza, and I got it because my sister became sick, and she need to make a very dangerous treatment surgeon. Yeah, she had a cancer. Yeah, and she make surgeons. So because of that, I got 3 days. just 3 days permit. Yeah, to visit Gaza, and yeah, I went and back.
Yeah. And since you brought up the 11-day war, what was that like when you're in the West Bank and they're there? And but also in today's world, you also have Israelis that are close friends. So you got it from both sides. Could you tell us what that time period was like for you?
First, when Israel started attack Gaza, really, I didn't go to sleep. I sat in front of the TV, front of the news, just to watch and to hear, and also the phone near me to try to call, because my mom in that time was in Gaza. So I was very, very, very worried about my sisters, my family, my mother. So it is not easy to wait.
Yeah.
To hear that one of your cousin or relatives get killed or died by airstrike or shooting somewhere. It's not easy. Yeah, and
but then there are also all the missiles from coming from Gaza, and the kites, the incendiary kites and balloons and all that. Then
Benny, we cannot compare between the missiles between who's shooting from Israel to Gaza and from Gaza to Israel, because Israel, we know that a very, very, very huge weapons and the missiles, like one missile he destroyed big building, but in Hamas, if they send hundreds of them missiles, I think nothing will happen. So we cannot compare, but also we can compare about, not compare, but the pain is stay the same between the Palestinians and the Israelis. The blood is the same. The death it's the same. So that's what we worry about. For sure, I have friends in Israel, and I was very worried about them, as I was worried about my family, my cousins, my nephews, my nieces in Gaza. So during the war, I called my friends who live in Beirut and in Tel Aviv to see how are they. So the same feeling, because no need to lose anyone else. I during the conflict, I lose from my family around 32.
Wow.
Yeah, 32.
Wow. Unbelievable.
From my family. So no need to lose anyone else more than this, from friends or from family.
Yes. I would imagine that's one of the reasons that you work so hard on peace.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure, because I said enough to kill, enough to lose friends, enough to lose narrative. No need more blood. No need more kill from both sides, not from Palestinians or from Israel. From both sides.
Okay. So you're getting back to your history. Your parents were born and grew up in Beersheba. However, in 1948, they and your grandparents decided to run to Jericho instead of going back to Gaza because it was close to the Jordanian border. Why not go all the way to Gaza?
Actually, I don't know, but as my grandparents told me, they tried to go to Gaza, but they stuck somewhere. I don't know why, but also they prefer to come to Jericho because it is very close to the Jordan borders, and if the Israeli or the Jewish, exactly. Let me use a Jewish, not the Israeli, because in that time we most of Palestinian or Arabs called said Jewish. Yeah, said Jewish, and that's what make me hate the Jewish in general, any Jewish in all the world, because they don't say specific Israeli. No, they say the Jewish attacked us, the Jewish killed us, the Jewish occupied us. So when the Jewish, my family said if the Jewish continue occupied the lands, they can run to Jordan and for sure to have more safety and and the place there.
So your grandmother said that when the war happened in 1948, that they thought they'd be gone just for a few hours and they didn't take anything with them, and they left their house key with a neighbor. Can you tell us about that?
Because most of people there, they don't have like radios, they don't have newspaper, cannot know anything happened around just from people. They thought the war will be like just a few hours and the Arab will win in this war because most of the Arab world country, they sent the armies and weapons to support the Palestinians and to define about Palestine. But they thought the war it will take a few hours. So when my grandmother left her house, she closed it by key and put it in and give it to her neighbors and tell her, okay, I will come back after a few hours. Yeah, they left everything, the food in the table and everything. They don't take, she didn't take anything from home.
And who lives in your former house today? Is someone living there?
For sure, because my grandparents not come back, and she passed away 6 years ago. Yeah, and she never come go back to her house. Now Israeli family live there, so we have two occupied. First, they occupied our lands. Second, they occupied our houses too, and they taking our things in houses and homes.
Yeah, I mean, just to clarify, I mean, peace with Penny is not political, but when we're talking with folks who've lived through that, you know, we need to hear what it's like for them. So what happened to your family during 1967, the war that what you would call the occupation happened?
Yeah, we call it in 67, we call it in Naksa. My family also moved, they ran away. I don't want to say move, no. They ran away to Jordan. Yeah, and they passed the border by them foot. So they passed also the Jordan River by them foot. My parents told me that, and my father told me he was 20 years, 22 I think, years old. So he carried all the kids of the family in his shoulder to pass the river, go and back. Yeah, go
Wow.
and back. In this very, very dangerous situation, because he told me there were few planes.
Yes.
Planes, yeah, they flying over them, and they sometimes they shot weapons, they shot fire to them too. So it's not easy. They stay in Jordan a few weeks, not so much, and come back. Buy them food also. And they use some animals, some donkeys, when they come to carry the things and the goods. So the trip was very, very horrible, very dangerous. Also during this trip, they told me they passed many bodies. Died bodies, yeah, killed from the Israeli army, and also when the Israel plan strike shot napalm. You know, napalm, it's some weapon illegal. Illegal weapon. They shoot it against the Palestinians. One guy, he was carry his babies in his shoulder. Yeah, and they what's call it? They killed in his shoulder, and he became crazy, and he collect the stones and throw it up, and he said some very hard word against the God.
Yeah.
Because his baby killed in his shoulder. Yeah.
So next, before we get into the fact that you, and we will get to the fact that today you work on peace, but this is important because to show you grew up with such tragedy, and yet, and today you do work on peace, but there's this great picture that you provided of yourself. You know, here we have the sweet little boy, about 10 years old, and, you know, where you should be, you know, playing soccer and playing with your friends, but instead, you know, you're collecting tires and throwing stones. Can you tell us about, you know, when you were, why you were doing that, and what your childhood was like at that point?
Yeah, I understand you. No one like to live under occupation, or no one like to be in a horrible life. But when I born in this situation, I don't have any chance. There is no time there is no time. I cannot there is no place to go to play soccer or to play with the friends, because I live under occupation, and the occupation it's take everything from us, take our childhood, take our life. He didn't give us space to breathe. So how can we live? We found some toys, some plays. That's when I was child, my play just to collect the
Tires.
Yeah. So I collected the tires,
Oh,
the wheels,
yes.
and put it on the street and make stones, bring the stones also. This is that's what's I doing when I was 10 years. It is my it's all the child games or play. We were play like that because
Oy.
yeah. So we cannot go to the beach, we cannot go to the forest, we cannot make like a camping, and we don't have a normal life.
Yeah.
As a Palestinian, I don't have a normal life when I was till now. Why I wanna till now? I don't have a normal life.
Mm. This is it's a hard interview because of the reality of what you went through. And eventually we'll get to the peace side, but I have to go over, you've had a very hard life. And the next segment, we'll talk about when you were in prison and why that was. But here's you were in Nakav prison. This is your ID. And then here you're with other Hamas prisoners. Can you talk about your time here in prison, please?
Okay. Let me set up before the prison because of this horrible life which I get it, and horrible childhood too, which I get it. In the first Intifada, I said it is my time to prove my patriot, to prove that my nationality, to can fight, to can revenge of my family and my people, to fight the occupation. So because of that, I became a Hamas member and start fight with the Hamas people against the occupation. But when I said fight, not with weapons, fight in the first Intifada with stones, make Palestinian flags, write in the wall about the Intifada rules, make marches against the occupation. That's what I mean. Because of these things, I do it against the occupation. The Israeli army come to my home in night and take me to the jail. So I spent 7 months in Israeli jail when I was 21 years old. Yeah, 20, 21, 22, something like that.
And then,
So,
sorry,
yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, I spent 7 months in. During these 7 months, they take me to the 4 jails, 4 prisons.
Mm.
Yeah, not just one. The first one in Hebrew called Zahriya, the second one near Nablus called Al Far'a, the third one in Megiddo called Megiddo, and the fourth one, the last one in Nakav, Israel call it Kitsaut, but we call it Nakav prison. Yeah.
So Oslo was happening during this time, right?
Exactly.
And so what did you think of that?
Yeah, I was in Megiddo in that time, and my parents, my father and mother, came to visit me, and I asked them about what's going on, what's happened outside. My father told me there is like agreement between the PLO and the Israel army, Israel government, and we will get two states, Palestine and Israel, and the Palestinian flag became legal. The people become very happy, and they make a lot of parties on the street because they are very, very happy for these agreements. So really, in the first time, like when I went to my tent and sit alone, thinking about that, I start thinking in this way, what's the secret of this agreement? One day before, Palestinian flag was illegal. The Israeli soldier or the Israeli people enemy. One day after this agreement, the Palestinian flag became legal, and we become friends to the Israelis. So what is the secret of this? So this thinking, I take it and put it somewhere in my mind, and I continue my life. But inside, I was happy. I was happy because it's called Jericho Gaza First. Jericho Gaza First. And I'm originally from Gaza. I born and live in Jericho. I said, oh yeah, they talking about me. About Jericho and Gaza. That's me.
So next I wanted to show the youth group. Was that at this time?
Exactly. Because it's after the jail. Yeah, after the present. I want to. I don't feel that, or I don't want to give up and sit in home. So I decide to continue the struggle. But now it's completely different struggle. It's not struggle by stones or because there is no like. I don't want to throw stones anymore. I said we can working as a youth and helping and building my society again. So I created a youth group working in an organization called PRC, Palestinian Red Crescent. It's international NGO. And it's like cross red or Red Cross. Yeah. So the Red Crescent and Red Cross and Megid David. It's the same organization. Yeah. So in this group, we took a lot of courses. We make a lot of voluntary works. We help people in my society, working with the old people, with the kids, children, schools, handicapped people. We help them. Also, we take a lot of, as I said, we take a lot of courses, communications, first aid, leadership. And because we got the first aid course, I become ambulance service volunteer too.
Yeah, I've got a picture of that right there. So.
Yeah, exactly. This is the ambulance and my colleague in the ambulance. Yeah.
Yeah. And then in 1996, this is really a hard thing to talk about.
Exactly.
But in 1996, there were clashes in East Jerusalem, and you provided medical attention to many of the wounded in Palestinians. And can you tell us what happened, please?
In September, exactly, in September 1996, when Netanyahu decided to open the tunnel under Al-Aqsa. And Al-Aqsa is the Muslim mosque, very important. It's the first important Muslim mosque in Palestine.
Is that where they're doing all the archaeological digging?
Exactly.
Yeah, because they still are doing that today. They're discovering incredible things. But anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Exactly. So the Palestinians became very angry because of this tunnel. They go to the street again and they start throw stones against the Israeli army. In Jericho, there was a settlement inside Jericho. The Palestinians attacked. So I got my uniform, my ambulance car, and went to give a hand to anyone needs. Near the defense of the settlement, I saw a guy fell down. So I ran to him to check what's happened with him. I found he's a friend of mine. His name Firas Awajmi, and he got a shot, fire shot. Yeah, so I carry him by my hand to take him to the ambulance to give him the first aid and take him to the hospital. But in my way to the ambulance, I fell down. Immediately I start thinking why I fell down. I'm strong enough to carry him and run a few kilometers, not just a few meters. And I try to walk up, to stand up, but I cannot move my hands or anything from my body. And
Right.
in that time, yeah, start feel a lump in my back. Yeah. And the people around me carry me and start shouting or carry injured, and they put me in the ambulance. So they took me to the hospital. After 3 days, I woke up from coma. I stay in coma 3 days. I woke up in Ramallah hospital, not in Jericho hospital, because Ramallah is more modern than Jericho. Yeah, in Ramallah hospital, I woke up, and I remembered when I woke up, in the first, I hear doctors call my name and ask me to open my eyes. And when I open my eyes, some nurse, she became crying and she hugged me. And the first time I shocked. It's out of our culture to hug a strange guy, and she didn't know me, and she's not from my relative.
Right.
Too.
Right.
Yeah, but after that I know that because I was in dangerous case, and the doctor thought that I will be in paralyzed. And as the doctor said, it's my second birthday. It's like a miracle to wake up again and to start move, because the bullet is moved from my back and stopped in my neck till now. So I live in the bullet in my neck right now.
Ugh. And what happened to your friend?
He passed away. I lose three friends in that day. Firas Awajne, he was 21 years old. He was a university student in Jordan. He studied law. Fadi Atiyah, 17 years old. Yeah, he was really great guy. And Zaid Sharif, he was a Palestinian police. Yeah, so
Well, enough of, this is very important information, and the reason we're talking about it is important, but also to know that you've changed and come so far. So let's get into a happier conversation, hopefully. Doesn't start out that way exactly, but your story of transformation is incredible. So in 2004, a friend asked you to go to a multiple day workshop with Peace Now and meet with Israelis. But before then, the only Israelis you ever met were soldiers. So what was your reaction to her request?
when she asked me in the first, I shocked. I start fight her to how she asked me to go to meet my enemy, who's make me refugee, who's make me put me in a jail and shot me gun, and was killed many friends of me. But as I said, she has a big mouth and she didn't give up. And I found the big excuse to don't go. I asked her to make a permit to me, and in that time I would think that the Israeli security agency will not give me a permit to enter to Israel.
Right.
Because anyone from Palestine wanna enter to Israel need a permit from the security agency. But after a few days, she came with a permit, and she gave me this permit. That time, really, I feel two emotions. One happy, the other scared. Happy because I got a permit and I can go to pray in Al-Aqsa. Scared because I will go to meet my enemy. And I went to this workshop for days, met Israelis. First look, there is no weapons, civilians, where they wearing the same, people, nice people, smiling. I got good, welcomed from all of them. But actually, I didn't make any relation with anyone first day.
Yeah, sure.
Just go and look around. The second day, and at night we slept all together in the same room, Palestinian and Israelis. And also,
wow, what was that like for you?
For me, I really was so scared.
Yeah?
Wow, I thought that someone at night he will wake up and will kill me.
Yeah.
And I'm sure maybe they have the same feeling.
Right.
Because they have a Palestinian sleeping in the same room. So the second time in morning we went together and we take breakfast together. So that time I start talk with them and introduce ourselves, know them, start open the conversations with them till the fourth day. In the end, in the party, we brought some drinks and make a huge party, smoking. I had nargila, public, you know.
What's that?
It's a smoking. It's Arab traditional smoke. We call it nargila or habli. So all of us take
smoking?
smoke. Smoking from Palestinians and the Israelis. So we were really so happy, and we got a good relationship together. And that's for me first time met civilian people, not settler, not soldiers, and that's make me more interesting to know more about the Israeli society and to make relationship with them, and that's also make a big change in my mind about the Israeli.
Did you go to more events?
Yeah, for sure. After that, to get more knowledge about the Israelis, sorry, and to make good more relationship with people in the same topics that people believe in human rights, believe in Palestinian rights from the leftist Israelis. I went to many workshops and also I created a group, Palestinian and Israeli group, and we call it Visit Palestine. It's a group about political trips. Yeah, I bring many Israelis to Jericho and to Bethlehem as a tour, talking about politics, talking about occupation, and also sharing our personal stories. So, but because we don't have enough like donations or I don't know, so we stopped this project. Yeah, we closed it.
So, and then in 2006, you met Combatants for Peace in Jericho. What did you think of them?
In 2006, I don't have I didn't had enough knowledge about the Israeli society and the leftists. So when I met the combatants, I feel that I'm not ready to make any relationship with Israelis yet. So I told them, give me a time to thinking and to see if I can, work with you or not. So I start alone by myself. As I say, I told you, I created the Visit Palestine group. I take myself a chance to meet more people, to talk with more people till I get the invitation from them in 2013 from Combatants to have a speech in the Memorial Day.
Can you talk about what the Israeli-Palestinian Joint Memorial Day is? They just had their 16th one this year, and I actually, it's co-hosted with CFP and Parent Circle, and I streamed it live, so it was in April, so if anyone wants to see it, you can see it on my website at pennyst.com under podcast. It's April 14th. And there were about 180,000 people this year because it was on Zoom, and so many people had access. But you want to talk about your experience when you spoke that particular year?
Yeah, this event is the biggest event for the leftist organization or for combatants, and all the peace activities, peace organizations helping and working to this event. But for sure, Combatants for Peace, it's like the biggest organization and take care about all the issues of it.
Was it hard for you to decide to agree to speak?
First time, yes. First time, yes. It's not easy to sit in the front of the people you don't know in like a stadium or and talk about yourself, talk about your history, what's happened with your family, because it is very sensitive. It's a lot
Sure.
of emotions. It's very, very hard to do that. Because of that, I went to Tel Aviv 3 days before the ceremony, and we sat together with the member of Combatants to train, to try to practice
Oh,
about the speech, and that time really, in these 3 days, give me a space or a time or a chance to meet the people in CFP and to know them and to talk with them, and
Right.
that's give me a lot of information and make me also convinced for them work and love to follow them, because I was very close to them, sleeping in Israeli house, eat together, so sleep together. So it's normal life. So I feel we are human. We are
Yes.
human. We don't have difference between me and him. He is like me and me like him. So we don't have this difference between each other.
Yeah. So what were the reactions of the Israelis toward your speech?
Yeah, it was really very huge reactions, and I love it so much. A lot of supports, a lot of empathy. I got it from them. After the speech, after the ceremony, many Israelis came to me and hugged me. Some of them take my mail connection to continue the relation with me, and to also to follow, like to make a searching about them study, to hear about also my personal story more. So that's, as I said, give me a lot of support and empathy.
Eventually you joined, and so the other big event that they've just started actually having yesterday was the second time, was the joint Nakba ceremony. Did you attend it?
Actually, no.
Okay.
I'm so sad. I'm so sad
Yeah.
because of that. Yesterday I was really so busy in Jericho with my family business, and
But can you explain what it is?
Yeah, because the first one I was the responsible of him, and was the hosting guy of the Nakba. Yeah,
so you're very familiar with it. So
exactly.
Tell us about it.
It's we're talking about the Nakba when the Israel. Okay, what we call it, it's occupied, and what the Israeli call it conquered. So it's different between the conquered and the occupied. The Palestinians believe in this. It's a historical Palestine land, and the Israeli occupied us the first time in 48.
Yeah. So it's basically when Israel was established as a state, you know, what gave them great joy, the establishment of the state of Israel.
Exactly.
The Palestinians call the Nakba, and the Nakba means catastrophe. So you're coming from opposite. One is thrilled and happy, the other can't believe, shocked, or horrified.
Killed, loser, became hopeless, homeless, refugees.
Yeah.
They lose them lands. Yeah. All
so the ceremony is who attends and what is the intention of the ceremony?
who attends most of like many Palestinians, many Israelis were because we screen it and it's happened in a Zoom. It's not alive because of the COVID-19, and it must happen in the May. Yeah, but because of the war in Gaza, we postponed it to this days. Yeah, so really it was. It's a lot of meaning. It's give us some like feel about the history, and we asking about the right of return, not right of return itself, but also as a Palestinians, we have a right to return to our land and to our homes, to our houses. So as we do the ceremony day for the Israeli people, we created the Nakba ceremony for the Palestinians, and a lot of Israelis support that Combatants for Peace, and we appreciate that so much because they understand what's mean of Nakba, understand our pain, understand our suffering.
I know that you have friends who are Israelis in today's world, and can you give us a couple lessons that you learned about Israelis today, what you think about Israelis today that is different from when you were growing up?
I have a story with my mom. Each time I went to go to Israel, she told me, don't sleep there, don't eat with them. She thought that they will put poison, to kill me, or they will kill me in night. Each time I come back home, I go to her and I tell her, Mom, I'm in good healthy. Nothing happened with me. I eat with them, I drink with them, I sleep in them houses, and nothing's happened. So this is the big lesson which I get it, because our background from the Jewish, that they hate us, they wanna kill us, and they wanna poison us.
Yes, poison.
So it is like a fact, it is a lie.
Right.
Yeah, and not all of them, they are like a bad people. No, many of Israelis love Palestinian, many of Israelis with the Palestinian rights, and let me say, against the occupation. Yeah, and this is what also I learned from Israeli. A lot of Israelis against occupation, and they work very hard to end this occupation. And also, I learned that many Israelis suffering from the occupation too, not just the Palestinians.
In what way?
The Jewish or the Israeli themselves, that they suffered from the occupation, which make them life horrible and worst life.
Because why? What do they tell you? How do they suffer?
Because they feel shame.
Yes.
They feel shame.
I get that, because when I hear you, I love Israel. I love being Jewish. They're my people. But just like, I don't do everything right, nobody does everything right. When I hear some of the stories, it's painful. It's really, really painful. And doing this program too, you know, I talking about it is uncomfortable, but the only way you can fix something is if you know about it, you know. And I'm so grateful to you for coming on and talking about it today. There's one more photo that you gave for me to show that I love, and I wanted to show it because I think it's a great way to end. Can you talk about this?
How can I forget when I met you, I think, in the first time, and the electric power, it's got, in my side. So I light this candle and take a photo and send it to you. To tell you that the electric is cutting in my side, and I cannot be in touch with you.
Yeah. Well, so I think that's a learning lesson, but seeing peace, that's what this is all about. I want to thank you so much, Ahmed, for your time and telling us about the great peace activities that you and others are working on with Combatants for Peace. Next Tuesday, July 20th at 11 a.m. Pacific time, we'll be speaking with Dr. Tariq Abu Hamid, Director of the Arba Institute for Environmental Studies, or AIES. He's the first appointment of a Palestinian to head an academic institute in Israel. Thanks to our Peace with Penny listeners. And if you'd like to listen again or to any of our previous interviews, you can find them on my website at pennyst.com. That's Penny, the letter S, TEE.com under podcasts. And until next week, may you live in peace, shalom, and salam.